the petty and mediocre things that I see us spending our time and our attention on, and when I know what is taking place on a larger scale, again, it's just concerning for me. I had to turn my car on because my light went off, so if it sounds different, that's the car in the background. But I think that there's two things taking place right now. Either Trump is going to implement, and when I say Trump, listen, Trump is not running the show. I know y'all hate him. I know he's despicable. I know, he's warranted a lot of vitriol from people in this country, white, black, and otherwise, but he is not in control at this point. And if you think that he actually has a level of power where he could actually shut the United States government down. I saw the video that Van Jones put out talking about, the constitutional, the constitutional loopholes or whatnot, which is always fascinating to me that people try to, say, oh, we need to use the law to stake our claims. Like, man, these people create loopholes in their laws for when you try to use their laws to stake your claims, so to speak. But anyway, sovereignty is a mental and a spiritual thing and not a paper thing. Doesn't mean the paper's not important. It means if you expect people that wrote the laws to control and to govern you, to allow their laws to be used for you to control and govern yourself, then you haven't really been studying the way that this system works. But damn, what was I saying? Oh, so Trump can either, with the powers that be, whatever the powers that be are, implement some sort of governmental takeover, which at this point, none of this is far-fetched to me, because as soon as I learned that Biden had been selected, immediately I was like, okay, it makes sense. And I was just having a conversation with my friend Omitayo. It makes sense that Trump would be the Trojan horse, that he would be so despicable that whoever they put in after him would walk right in to cheers and to fanfare, and nobody was cheering Biden. They were cheering the fact that Trump was leaving. But it's like, who are we really, okay, this is the devil that we know, so to speak. So what does that mean? Well, he already talked about mandating vaccinations. They're talking about mandatory masks. Chicago just got put on a lockdown. California probably is on its way again. All these upticks in coronavirus, these upticks, and I'm in contact with nurses and doctors from around the world that know that this is some bullshit, but still have to protect their families and have to protect their lives. And when I say this is some bullshit, I'm not saying that the coronavirus is not real. I'm saying that what they're saying that it is not. And again, I'll get into that in the science as a weapon, because what they've really done is weaponized your sickness. So if you've been taking care of yourself, maybe for the past 10 years, maybe for the past 5 years, but specifically since the beginning of this year, then you shouldn't be worried about anything. And I would hope that the smart alecks that try to challenge me about what I said about masks, which was all based on how the body is governed and dependent on oxygen and breath, I hope that you are one of those people that is in good health and actually takes care of yourself. So this day and time is about the individual. And, we kind of steer away from the importance of the individual. And, we talk a lot about the collective unity and whatnot. And those things are important. But right now, when you're sitting in your house and you're alone, or you're, I'm writing something so I don't forget. You're sitting alone, or you're afraid, or, worried about somebody kicking in your door, or, or ostracizing you, or, listen, human beings need other human beings, right? That's why we're being put in this position where we don't have access to one another the way that we should and the way that we normally do, because we are getting in a space and in a time dispensation where the importance of the individual and the importance of your individual connection to God, to a higher frequency, to your higher self, is going to be more important than anything. And as Abraham Hicks says, one who is connected to source energy is more powerful than a million who are not, right? Now, that doesn't mean that I'm minimizing the importance of the collective or unity. What I'm saying is that when you are internally strong, when you are mentally and spiritually and emotionally strong, you don't have to look for your tribe or for like minds. They'll naturally find you. You know what I'm saying? So, and the flip side of that is that, you know, a lot of people are going to walk themselves right into the slaughter because they have no self-awareness, and they really truly don't know what's going on, man. A lot of people are about to have the blindfolds removed when it comes to the amount of energy and attention that we put into so-called democracy, so-called government. Because what the United States government has been infringing on the people of the world is about to come to America. It's already here, but it's about to be here in a major way. So whereas some people would say, well, I'm going to strap up and I'm going to protect my household so that if they do come try to force vaccinations, or if they do come try to do A, B, C, or D, you know, I'm willing to die for mine. And I get that. That's a level of consciousness. And we all have free will and we can all do as we please. My goal is to be in alignment with the frequency and the consciousness of God so that knock never comes to my door. And I know it's possible because I've experienced this on multiple occasions where, you know, they say, God prepareth the table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Well, I promise you, I have absolutely no doubt. You know, we talk about knowing versus believing. Well, much respect to the believers, but this is the time of knowing. This is the time for pure, unadulterated faith, where you know, regardless to what they're saying on the news, regardless to what your neighbor is saying, regardless to what your friends, what your family, what your loved one, what your husband, what your wife, what your children are saying, you know that you know that you know. And I know that I know that I know. You know what I'm saying? And 2021 is going to be a very deceitful and dangerous time for a lot of people. You know what I'm saying? But it's also going to be a great and wondrous and abundant time for others. You know, so this is about getting on your square. That's what this moment in time is about. Standing on your square and knowing that you are being guided, that you are being protected, and that all of your needs will be provided for. God's law is not the same as man's law. We think that God requires fear of us, even though when you study nature, you know, you have to respect. I was driving when I was coming from Atlanta to California, and I was driving through the desert, or I was driving through New Mexico, and it was like 110 degrees, and it was just hot, and there was nothing in sight. And I thought to myself, if my car breaks down right now, like I literally could die. Like nothing protecting me from nature, right? So that's the higher and lower self, the darkness versus the light, right? God is deadly. You know what I'm saying? And I believe that that's one reason why what's happening right now is being allowed to happen. God allowing it to happen, because we have been shrinking and living mediocre and being ruled by policies and laws and governments that are beneath us for so long that it has to stop. Those days are over. The days of, the governments as we know them, the world that we know them as we know it, are on its way out. The days of being ruled by fear and being ruled by the lower self are over. And so if you are inundated right now with fear-based consciousness, that is your number one primary focus right now. Not wearing a mask or not, oh my God, am I going to get a vaccine or not? The fear of the vaccine is worse than the actual vaccine itself. The fear of the virus is actually worse than the virus itself. The fear of Donald Trump is actually worse than Donald Trump himself. The fear of government, the fear of whatever fear-based consciousness you're living in is worse than that actual reality, if it's even a reality at all. Because your body accepts that fear-based consciousness as an order. I'm afraid what's going to happen to my children next year. I'm afraid of the vaccination if it's going to be mandatory vaccinations. So guess what? Your cells and your body down to a molecular structure doesn't say, okay, well, she's just weighing her options. She's just looking at the pros and cons. It feels the energy, it feels the frequency of your fear, and then it responds accordingly. So how many people now are making themselves susceptible to not just coronavirus or COVID-19, but heart disease and heart attacks and strokes and cancer? Like y'all, you think COVID is the only player on the scene? Which ironically is interesting that now that the COVID numbers have spiked, the numbers of flu and pneumonia have significantly dropped. But again, that's another story for another time. This is the time to be able to think for yourself. This is the day and time that we are living in. Nobody is responsible for your life but you. And it's frustrating to me because I know, and I can literally feel it. People are sitting back waiting for somebody to tell them what to do. Waiting for Biden to get in office and then everything's going to be okay. No, that's when the shit's really going to start popping off. And so, how do we get through this? How do we work through this? How do we survive? How do we thrive in the midst of chaos? People have been telling me my whole life that you're too serious, you're too serious. Just relax, ZaZa, you're too serious. Okay, well, now that everybody's getting serious, I'm relaxed and I'm not pressed because I know what I know. You know what I'm saying? You have to address and focus on the 4 aspects of yourself as a mental, spiritual, emotional, and physical human being. So what does that mean? That means meditation. That means prayer. That means breathing, focusing on your breathing, making it a ritual, especially if you work a job where you have to wear a mask all the time. And I absolutely 100% despise masks. Like, let's be clear. And I don't give a shit what you think. Every time, if I have to go, I think the longest I've ever worn it is when I went to go get my hair cut. And by the time I had that mask on for 30 minutes, I literally felt sick to my stomach. And I just took it off my nose. I was trying to be respectful of the other people there, but I took it off my nose. But every time I take it off, I snatch it off my face. Get this shit off of me. Every time I go outside, it's like a ritual for me. Get this shit off my face. You know what I'm saying? Like, how dare anybody try to impose on me that I need to be protected from anything as much as I work on my body and as much as I work on my mind. I'm not afraid of COVID. My only fear is not living up to my potential. I've never seen a virus or seen a disease or seen a police officer or seen a white man or seen a judge or seen a nigga or seen a YouTube commentator or somebody writing a blog or a video about me that I feared more than not living up to my own potential. That's hell to me. And just a side note to that, I was talking about this with a friend the other day, and I've had this conversation multiple times. Heaven and hell are getting ready to expand. What are you talking about, ZaZa? Heaven is in the sky and hell is underneath our feet. No, it's not. These are states of awareness and states of consciousness. If you smoke crack and you spend your every waking moment trying to get money to fulfill that high, that's hell. If you are living with the love of your life, or you are working in a job or in an environment that inspires you and invigorates you to be your highest self, or you found your passion and your goals and aspirations in life, or you love being a mother and you love being with your children, or you love being a father and being with your children, and you are able to experience the highest aspects of loving with another human being, whether it be husband, wife, girlfriend, boyfriend, son, daughter, grandmother, grandfather, mother, daughter, etc. That's heaven. Most people are living in some semblance of hell, stuck in mediocre relationships that are not serving them well, stuck in jobs that they hate, completely denying the thing that's yearning within them, that they really want to do, the person they really want to be, the person they really want to become, the life that they really want to live. That's hell. So your hell is getting ready to expand if you are operating on a fear-based frequency, a fear-based consciousness. Your heaven is getting ready to expand if you are operating on a love-based consciousness, on an abundance-based consciousness, on a knowing-based frequency. So then the question is, what do you fear? That has to be your primary focus right now. What is it that you really fear? Because God has set us all in our proverbial corners. They're talking about the second wave is coming. The third wave is coming. Your frequency is the only thing that's going to be able to get you through this. And it's not a bad thing because God is real. You just got to tap into that energy within yourself. This is not about going and sitting at the feet of pastors and preachers and deacons and sermon and ministers anymore. Those days are over. Those times served us well, or served some people well, if that's your thing. This is about sitting at the feet of yourself. This is about sitting at the feet of your higher self. This is about overcoming and mastering your lower self, of even knowing what that actually means, because it plays out different for everybody. Some of us are addicted to porn. Some of us are addicted to money. Some of us are addicted to suffering. Some of us are addicted to having energy vampires and people that relish in our suffering. People that celebrate your suffering. People that watch you suffer and are in a position to help you and you won't. That's devilish. You know what I'm saying? But it's going to be different and look different and feel different for each of us. That's why I talked about the importance of the individual. You learning how to at least first have the concept, the consciousness to even say, I want to master myself. I want to experience heaven. I want to be self-governed. That's why you don't see me talking about the government. You go on my social media pages, I ain't said nothing about none of it. All of that shit's irrelevant to me at this point. These are the days of the kingdom of God. It is upon us. And you are either going to be part of building it down, or you're going to be a part of going down with it. You're going to be a part of building a new world, or you're going to get lost in the cracks. This is the time for self-governance. This is not the time for social media influencers to be telling you what to do with your life. We're beyond that now. We had a good run. And when we say we, I don't even include myself in that, because I don't tell people how to live their lives. I just tell you about my experience. I tell you about the wisdom that is expressed through me that sometimes I can't take credit for. I'm showing you the lightness and the darkness. You choose. By the way, I don't understand why people that don't like me follow me. That's just so perplexing to me. Well, no, it's not. Light attracts everything. You know what I'm saying? It attracts light and love, and it attracts darkness and evil and wickedness and savagery and haters, and you know what I'm saying? So yeah, good job. Y'all are on your ding. You're on your square. This is the time to be in alignment with the frequency of God. What is the frequency of God? It's not fear-based. I never thought that God needed me to be afraid of God. That never made sense to me. And there are many things to be afraid of in this life, and all of it is God in one capacity or another. But that just never sat right with me, that my God needs me to be afraid of my God in order for me to be saved or for me to go to heaven. Because that lends to the fear-based consciousness that is ruling this world. These niggas that are sitting at the top of the pyramid, the powers that be, the elite, they know that there is only a certain amount of time that they were going to be able to rule. Hiram Abiff, so to speak. If you're a Mason, you understand what I'm talking about. If you are, depending on how many degrees you have, you're going to interpret that in different ways. If you're a 33 and a third degree Mason, you're going to see that in a different capacity than a third degree Mason. But Masons understand what I'm saying. This is the time right now where how you're thinking and feeling and what is what's going to create your reality in a very substantial way. It's always been that way, but now the onus is on you. It's like when you're ignorant, you don't really know you're ignorant. When you don't have the information, when you don't have the resources, you don't have them, you're not being held accountable to a certain extent. But when you know, when the writing's on the wall and you still don't move and you still don't respond and you still don't accept accountability and you still don't accept responsibility, i.e. the world got shut down from the beginning of this year up until now, technically with glimpses of quote unquote freedom here and there. How many of us have actually stopped and sat up straight and taken control of ourselves, of our lives? How we eat, how we think, how we treat people, how we spend our time, how we operate, how we navigate in the society, what we read, what we focus on. Self-accountability. I'm concerned for Black people in America. I'm concerned for everybody everywhere, to be honest. But I'm really concerned for those of you that took to the streets cheering and clapping and celebrating and partying. And I saw plenty of white people in LA doing it. And they're having a different internal battle, so I understand that. But the number of us we have no idea what's coming. All of the news reports now are talking about upticks in COVID, and Chicago's now on lockdown, and the numbers are skyrocketing. There's no real proof of this shit, but they say it and people believe it. So perception is reality. So if they get enough people to believe, then it will start to actually manifest itself. The people at the top of the pyramid understand how this works. We don't. You don't. If they get enough people to believe and to resonate on the fear-based consciousness and fear-based frequency, it doesn't matter what COVID does, because they're going to maintain control. So fasting right now is imperative. Raw food fast, no food fast, water fast. Supplements like sea moss and chlorella and zinc and elderberry as we're moving into this, you know, flu season, which, like I said, it's interesting how the numbers of flu patients have gone down. It's fascinating. Burdock root. I highly suggest bentonite clay fast because I personally think that they now have the power, and have had it for some time, to make viruses airborne using chemtrails and planes. I'll talk about that in Science as a Weapon, which means that we are constantly breathing in all kind of toxins and metal particulates. So bentonite clay detoxes, chlorella, obviously, and a number of other things. I have an ebook on my website. It's called Practical Steps to Health and Well-Being. It's $8.88. You can buy it and get it right to your email. And I'm not even asking you to buy the book. Well, yeah, I am asking you to buy the book. That's not the purpose of this video. I'm just trying to recall the suggestions. You know what I mean? That's why I even said it. Sea moss, zinc, elderberry, bentonite clay, detoxing, water, heavy water, sunshine, oxygen. Obviously, oxygen is more important than anything. It's more important than what you eat. It's more important than what you drink. And now here we are wearing masks, limiting our access to God, limiting your access to God. And you got the audacity, you smart asses, to write me and to pop off and talk shit when I'm trying to keep you connected to your creator, and you're allowing your God, the scientists of this world, to send you to death. I don't. Okay. You can choose hell. Every day you can choose hell. Every day we can choose righteousness. That's what the Bible and the prophecy, the Bible and the characters in the Bible are about. States of consciousness. You can be Jesus today, or you can be Judas. Choose. But don't blame nobody else for your choices. Stop being afraid of vaccines.